Welcome to the Academy of Management Perspectives Dynamic Edition. My name is Matthew Josefy, and I'm from the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to use this medium to share with you more about our article titled Corporate Sociopolitical Involvement, a Reflection of Whose Preferences. This project came out of discussions from when the lead author, Michael Nalick, and I were still in our doctoral program at Texas A&M. Along with other colleagues, we continued to watch a number of significant issues unfold, and we were quite interested to see the extent of corporate intervention and engagement on very hot-button social issues here in the United States. We engaged in pretty lively discussions with Bierman and Asghar Zardkoohi and began to think more in depth about whether existing theory fully explained the extent of this engagement, and began to wonder if this was also happening elsewhere in the world. Each of us brought a distinct perspective to the table. Michael has a public policy background and has been considering ideas around corporate scandals, reputation, and stigma. Lynn's background as a lawyer led him to think about the implications of Citizens United and the personification of the corporation. Asghar, from an economic point of view, honed in on the potential agency concerns and whether such stances were in the best interest of stakeholders. He also spoke from his more recent work considering stakeholder theory. In my own work, I am interested in how large organizations obtain and use resources in the actions of their executives. Business has long been recognized as a substantive force in shaping both political and social issues. However, in recent times, this influence has become more pervasive. In fact, the economic power of some corporations now arguably rivals that of many national economies. And this growing economic power has coincided with and contributed to augmented political power. As we watched, the same pattern continued to repeat itself around a wide variety of issues. First, an incident would occur that would stoke public debate, then corporations would take a position. And in many of these instances, the corporate stances were part of shaping the debate, and sometimes public anger over their intervention received as much media coverage and public scrutiny as the actual issue. The examples included a wide variety of both domestic and international companies. As a result of these widely reported activities, we questioned the motivation behind these corporate stances. Was it a powerful executive driving this behavior because he or she personally sympathizes with the issue? Did management believe they could gain goodwill from pursuing these activities? Are social movements actively forcing firms to take stances on these controversial issues? In this paper, we discuss that all of these perspectives are relevant, and the integration of these perspectives is insightful. It was our belief that what we were seeing didn't fall neatly into either of the two major existing streams of research on the non-market activities of firms. First, firm commitment to political issues is described as corporate political activities, CPA. But CPA is instrumental and transactional, meaning that firms believe that their actions offer some type of competitive benefits. Put another way, these activities are presumed to have an intended goal in mind that is related to the economic motivation of the firm. Second, many scholars examine corporate social responsibility, or a set of firm actions that may be tangential to obtaining direct firm benefit, but at least tangentially are helpful in boosting the reputation of the firm or establishing its legitimacy. Because sociopolitical issues are comprised of unsettled social norms, any benefit of engagement is not universally perceived as beneficial compared to a CSR issue, such as investment in poverty reduction. So we first needed to conceptually define these types of issues. Since the issues are a blend of political and social issues, we call them sociopolitical issues, and firm engagement on these issues we refer to as sociopolitical involvement, or SPI. Because issues of the sociopolitical kind are not related to operational aspects of the firm, sociopolitical involvement offers no direct competitive benefits, and any perceived benefits from one group of stakeholders may be partly offset by another set of very disgruntled stakeholders. These issues are divisive, unsettled, and emotionally charged. The reactions to firm involvement in these issues can be difficult to predict, as these issues lack normative or institutional societal consensus. These differences necessitate the proposal of a framework for assessing a firm's SPI that is distinct from those used for CPA or CSR. We suggest that a firm's participation on a socio-political issue can be recognized and evaluated along three dimensions: consideration of potential market motivations, the company's position, and the manner of involvement. We therefore highlight a number of motivating, stakeholder-related perspectives that may prompt and enable SPI. The first perspective, risk-taking on perceived future stakeholder benefits, implies the firm takes risk on the dynamic nature of a given socio-political issue. While the issue is currently divisive, the firm bets that many stakeholders will in the medium or long run turn around and begin to support the firm's position. In this view, the firm expects its SPI to be a good investment, as many stakeholders are expected to eventually support the firm's SPI. In other words, the firm anticipates the situation as an opportunity for commercial gain by improving its reputation or standing with segments of stakeholders that could eventually side with the issue. In contrast, the second perspective, stakeholder pressure recognition, describes situations in which stakeholders pressure the firm into unwanted actions. In this perspective, the coalescing of stakeholder groups, often by social movements, coerces firms into an uncomfortable position in which they are cornered into engagement for or against a certain issue. A third viewpoint incorporates agency theory, asserting that managers engage in SBI in pursuit of their own ideological bent. While a manager's personal ideology may coincide with that of some stakeholders, in this case, managers rather than stakeholders are driving firms to engage in SBI, thus creating potential agency issues. Further, given these personal motivations, the explanation for their behavior differs, as managers are neither calculating expected future gains for the firm nor responding to pressure to act. Yet because the manager agrees or sympathizes with a certain ideology or relates to a particular issue, he or she chiefly pursues an SBI strategy to satisfy his or her personal consumptive motivations rather than the other concerns previously highlighted. Whether the firm engages in SBI, regardless of which motivating perspective applies, is contingent on institutional environments enabling such activities. As many scholars have noted, the institutional context regarding the social, legal, and political considerations can have profound impacts on the firm. The institutional environment affects managerial discretion, the organization's operational ability, and a variety of social actors, which affects the three highlighted perspectives and facilitates opportunity for firms to engage in SBI. We consider a number of factors that may affect the apparent rise of SBI. I'll cover one now. For instance, the latitude of the CEO, perhaps indicated by measures of CEO power, may allow the CEO greater freedom to pursue an agenda regarding socio-political issues. Several of our examples examine CEOs who are founders or possess a high degree of power within their firm. Thus, SBI may be correlated with other aspects that result in CEO power, such as strong firm performance, the presence of CEO duality, or a CEO founder, such as Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg. Accordingly, the CEO's personal beliefs may manifest in his or her vision of the company and attention to a particular set of the stakeholders who would benefit from changes in the normative standing of the socio-political issue. Thus, the CEO may view a certain socio-political issue as greatly important in order to appease a particular group of stakeholders that he or she identifies as important. Certainly, company shareholders may disagree and potentially seek to reprimand a CEO that is more involved in these type of issues than they would prefer. In this way, future research may also empirically test for the extent to which the rise of lone founders is contributing to a rise in SBI. Whereas previously many firms emerged as family firms, in which multiple members of the family would be engaged in governance, and concerns with reputation were associated with CSR, SBI may be most prone to occur when a dominant founder like Zuckerberg of Facebook, Jobs of Apple, or Gates of Microsoft feels a strong sense of control and therefore has the firm's positions mirror his own. While CEOs may be lauded by the public or the press for their willingness to engage on social issues, scholars may wish to examine whether such engagement is associated with particular personality traits or with particular incentives. I think the release of our article is particularly timely here in the US. Perhaps in the past there was an expectation that many companies remain neutral or try to show support for both sides. Increasingly, companies or key spokespeople from those companies are willing to make their opinions known. Globally, the economic might of these multinational organizations means that at times they may be able to sway and significantly influence local behavior and beliefs. We believe that these are areas of great interest for future research and hope that the frameworks that we've laid out are useful in that research as we seek to understand the theoretical explanations behind what is driving these behaviors. We encourage you to check out this article in the Academy of Management Perspectives and on their website, and we welcome you to join the conversation about the role of corporations in socio-political discourse. Thanks for your interest in this opportunity for us to share more of the story behind the article in the first dynamic edition of Academy of Management Perspectives. Thanks for watching.